Prologue really gets up to speed, guys. I mean, and you can also easily get down to speed by just letting off the brake pedal with the one pedal driving. But here I get into it, and yeah, I mean, this thing is not slow at all, guys. I mean, that instant torque. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2024 Honda Prologue Touring. And I'm going to tell you why this might be the best trim in the entire Prologue lineup. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. All right, so let's talk about the Honda Prologue. This was Honda's first all-electric SUV, and that's a big deal, right? Especially as the EV marketplace had started to heat up, they needed to bring a competitive SUV with nearly 300 miles of driving range to the market, and I think in most cases they succeeded with the Prologue, as it's actually selling really, really well. Now, if you've watched Drive Culture before, you know we've got all the other trims. You know we've got videos on the Acura ZDX as well, but the ZDX and the Prologue are quite different, and we're going to talk about those here in the video today. Now, the one that we have here today is, like I said, the Touring trim, so it sits in between the EX and the Elite. This one here, being the Touring, costs $51,700 MSRP before paint and destination handling, things like that. But speaking of paint, let's look at it. This is Honda's North Shore Pearl. This is really aqua green color, and it's exclusive to the Prologue. So if you see a car in this color, you know for sure it's a Prologue right now. It's not on any of the other vehicles or lineup within Honda or Acura. So this is a very bespoke color, and it really kind of matches this kind of, you know, futuristic kind of EV styling that the Prologue has. So next, why don't we go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this Prologue Touring. All right, guys, here we are with the 2024 Honda Prologue Touring. And like I said, it's painted in this North Shore Pearl, this kind of like aqua green, you know, paint color that's new and exclusive to this model. But I think it looks really good, and it helps to like make Prologue stand out. Obviously, there's a lot of more neutral colors, but for me, I think since you kind of got this new bold EV design, it really helps the Prologue to stand out while also showing off some of its character lines. So let's go ahead and talk about the exterior and what we're working with here. So you can see on the hood, you know, you've got not a lot of surfacing, but you got like this nice character line that comes and meets the leading edge of the hood, carries around to the other side. So kind of some nice shaping to the hood there, but everything's a very kind of straight and clean edge design here. There's not a lot of crazy angles and creases. A lot of cars are maybe over styled today. This isn't really the case, and I think it's for the better. I think that's part of the reason why Prologue is also selling really well, because, you know, essentially it looks like a, you know, a normal SUV with a futuristic and modern touch to it. So the headlights are these premium LED, you know, design. They also have this LED daytime running lamp at the top. It meets this kind of black bar here in the middle with the Honda logo that's also filled in with the black background. A lot of times Honda just has a chrome emblem, but here it's filled in black, which again matches that whole front brow. As you make your way to the lower front fascia, you'll see that there are some air outlets here on the side, these kind of air curtains, and yes, you can see they're functional. So that helps to carry air alongside of the vehicle for improved aerodynamics. You can see this Touring trim also has those fog lights there, as well as these parking sensors. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them up front, and those work really well. Down below here in the front, you can see that there's actually some active grille shutters there that open and close, which also help for aerodynamics and improved driving efficiency. It helps your driving range. So let's make our way to the side here. This shows a really good styling of Prologue, right? Like, again, like I said, keeps this kind of traditional SUV look, but still looks kind of sleek and modern, right? So a lot of black trim on the Prologue, really no chrome, which is nice these days. I like the blacked out accent look that carries over the wheel arches, to the side mirror, to the window treatment. I mean, even the roof rails are black. The lower side cladding is black. So everything looks really good. Everything blends in. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, one of the things about Prologue is that on the Elite trim, the highest trim, it has the largest wheel and tire package that Honda's ever put on a car. Those are freaking massive wheels. Those are 21-inch wheels. These here are 19-inch wheels, and it's a 255 60R19 wheel and tire here. And, you know, while obviously everyone likes some big fancy wheels, there is some benefit with this smaller wheel and tire package. It actually helps with the overall driving range and efficiency. You got smaller, lighter wheels, right? So you actually do get better driving range on this trim versus the Elite. So let me know what your guys' thoughts and comments are down below on this kind of, you know, very simple 6-spoke wheel design. So next, of course, we got the charge port door. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. There's really no markings here, but simply if you push here in the middle, it just kind of pops out. There you can see the combined charging system, right? The CCS plug. And here, if you pull this out, that is for DC fast charging, right? So if you're at a faster charger port, you're just going to open that up. And again, otherwise, you're just going to use the smaller round port for level 2 charging or home charging, things like that. And then just to close it, you can just kind of push in the middle and it stays shut. So kind of like a fuel door. Here you can see the side mirrors do have this kind of premium design. LED turn signals as well. They're not power folding on this trim, but again, if you get the Elite trim and step up, they do become power folding mirrors as well. Here you can see kind of a traditional door handle, nothing fancy, but you do have entry with this button here. You can have to push it in to both lock and unlock the vehicle. And as we make our way to the rear, here you can see the same wheel and tire setup in the back. And then now we'll go ahead and just take in the rear styling and rear profile of Prologue, because for me, this is the best angle of Prologue. I think here, and I've said this before in probably some of the other videos, it really looks like, and I mean this in the best compliment, I mean, it looks like a Range Rover, right? It looks like, you know, maybe the Evoque. I mean, it has really strong styling. It's really low, it's really wide. And it, again, that kind of small rear window, which, to be fair, you know, it probably does affect rear visibility, but it's worth the styling to me, and it's worth the way this car looks. It just looks really good from the rear. Some big changes for Honda were the fact that they actually spelled out the name Honda using a new font that you see here, instead of that traditional chrome H badge. So that was kind of a bold move for them to do. You got the Prologue badging off to the left. The Touring badge off to the left under that as well. Honda put a little E colon badge, which was to signify electrified vehicles. They put that to the right, as well as AWD, signifying that this is the dual motor version of the Touring trim, because yes, you can get a single motor of the Touring trim if that's what you like as well. You do got these premium LED tail lights, look really futuristic and modern, and look really good at night. Some reflectors down below, those 4 parking sensors to match the 4 up front, and that kind of silver garnish down below to kind of just, you know, change up the styling a little bit. So other than that, you got a rear view camera and a very, very small window wiper in the rear. So, but hey, it does a good enough job to, you know, make sure you got clear visibility when it's raining outside. So with that, I think we've covered just about all of the exterior styling of the Honda Prologue Touring. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the Honda Prologue Touring. And I said this probably about the EX trim. In fact, I had a lot of good things to say about that entry-level trim, but this just ups it another level, adds a lot more premium content and features. But To be fair, that EX trim was really well equipped, especially given the price point. So let's talk about all the materials, and then we'll talk about the features and the technology. So first and foremost, you go ahead, you sit down, and you got this big chunky steering wheel. So typically I feel like Honda and Acura, their steering wheels are a little bit thinner than this, but it is still a great size and it feels good in your hand. It has leather material, contrast stitching, and a lot of nice like chrome accents here on the steering wheel. So it looks and feels like a really premium piece. You got that Honda logo with the black filled in, just like the exterior badge up front. So that's a nice touch. You got all your like audio and menu controls here on the right, and then your cruise control functions on the left. Your volume buttons are on the back right side. Your track functions are on the back left side. And you also have this very small paddle here, which is for additional regen braking. And we'll talk about that during the drive. Behind that, you actually also have the gear selector. So it's this, mounted gear selector, like a lot of EVs are these days. We'll talk about how that works during the drive as well. And then you've got your turn signal, your wiper stalk. All your buttons are all on this one stalk here, but it's pretty easy to use. Outside of that, this particular car has what they call the gray interior option, but it's really a two-tone interior options. So Honda offers a black interior and also this kind of like brownish orangish color interior as well. So there's a couple unique interior colors, but I think this light gray color in here looks really premium, especially with that two-tone design. You also get that same material here on the dash that carries along, and that looks really premium as well. Even on the center armrest here, it feels really nice, contrast stitching throughout. So again, really good materials, especially for this price point. But next, let's go ahead and just talk about the dash, right? So, bringing you down the dash, you got this, large, touchscreen here. We'll get to that in a second. It takes you to all of your vents and your climate control. And one of the nice things about it is it's just very simple. It's a simple, easy to use arrangement of buttons. They're all hard buttons, really easy to find, really tactile feel for the switches. So it's nice. A lot of times this can get overcomplicated or buried in the menus, but here it's very easy to use. As you make your way further down, you have two USB-C charge ports, a 12-volt socket, and this huge rubberized tray to place things, which is actually really useful, right? You can put all kinds of things, and because of the material, it doesn't actually slide around or move around, which is nice. You have two large cup holders here, which take you back to a pocket style wireless charge pad. So that is really nice because, when it's in the pocket, you can glance down and still see your phone, and the charging works really well too. Now, one of the other things you can see is this is kind of a floating center console design. So even below that, there's a massive, space down here with another rubberized pad where you could easily fit a laptop, a purse, a small bag. So there's lots of good storage space right here in the center area of the Prologue. Lifting this up, you've got a really deep center armrest, which is nice, and a little removable tray, so good storage space there. Of course, a traditional glove box over here. So overall, really good packaging and space. Now, let's talk about some of these features and things that you got here, because there's a lot of tech in this car too. So going back to this center display, it is an 11.3-inch full color touchscreen display. It has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, which is great. It looks really premium, and it's very easy to customize the tiles and the graphics. So the infotainment's really good. The digital instrument cluster right in front of you is 11 inches in size, and it's also really easy to customize and show a few different layouts here. So there's a button on the steering wheel. If you push that, it'll show you, your speed, your gauge, all of your power and energy functions, as well as your charging status. And then if you push it again, it shows you your ADAS, distance setting, and you can change all those settings as well. But then if you push it one more time, it actually brings Google Maps up to the front, and it takes up the entire screen, which is a really nice function. But better yet is if you like things like CarPlay and Android Auto, those can actually mirror their maps onto this digital instrument cluster as well. So that is really nice to be able to have your Apple Maps or whatever you like to use right in front of you. Now, above and beyond that, it doesn't have a head-up display on this trim. You have to step up to the Elite trim if you want that kind of technology. But other than that, there's a lot here. You also get a 12 speaker Bose premium sound system that actually sounds really good. And no, I know a lot of times you'll go in and adjust the equalizer settings and things like that. I personally didn't have to do that. And I think the bass is actually really strong, even on a flat setting on the equalizer. So I didn't even go ahead and adjust it. The system sounds really good and has some powerful low end bass. On the doors, you still got good materials. On the driver's side, you do have a memory settings two for the driver's side, as well as an additional setting that's used to basically work for ingress egress, getting in and out of the vehicle. So it's nice that you can program that as a third setting. Off to the left here, you got your electronic parking brake, your lane keeping assist, your brake hold, they call it auto hold function, as well as the brightness for the screen. So lots of good features, lots of premium tech. One of the other things that we'll talk about here are the seats. So the seats are very, very comfortable. Like I said, they look good because of the two-tone design, but both the driver and the passenger are power and have a lot of adjustability. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about this opening panoramic moonroof. Now, it has a power sunshade, which I think is really nice. A lot of EVs just have a glass roof, always let the sun in. And yes, they're UV coated and have special coatings not to, really let you get, burnt up by the sun. But I think it's nice to have a full power sunshade that can open and close. And then beyond that, the glass itself, like a traditional panoramic moonroof, can open and tilt and slide back. So I think that's a really, really nice feature. So I think we've covered everything up front. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear. All right, guys, here we are inside the second row of the Prologue Touring, and it is a super spacious place to be back here. If you've watched any of the other reviews on the Prologue, I'm sure I've repeated myself and said the same thing because it's just really surprising every time you get back here. I mean, obviously, it's a big, SUV, so of course you're going to expect space, but I mean, not this much space. There is a ton of space back here, and part of that is because the Prologue has one of the longest wheelbases in its class. This actually has nearly the exact same length in the wheelbase, right, between the tires that a Honda Odyssey does, right? But the thing is you don't have a third row. It's not packaged the same way as an Odyssey. And so what they did is they just gave a lot of space to the people here in the second row. And I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, I'm 5'10". I always say that, but I mean, I've probably got like 5 inches of knee room. I mean, obviously, I can fit my feet underneath, and I mean, I've got tons of leg room, tons of headroom. Tandem distance is great. The floor back here is, virtually flat, which is, the benefit of that kind of, flat EV battery platform that we're just sitting on top of. And, here in the center seat, they've actually kind of like sunken it down a little bit to give even the person in the middle just a little bit of extra headroom up top. And there's good materials back here as well. The same kind of materials and leather material up front carries here to the rear as well. You got two map pockets back here. You have vents and a fan controller back here, but no ability to adjust the climate back here per se. But at least you have vents back here. There's a pocket back here below. And then down below that, you do get two more USB-C charge ports. So that means you actually got five different charging devices in here. You got two USB-Cs up front, the wireless charge pad, and then two here in the rear. So with it being a 5-passenger vehicle, literally everybody can be plugged in charging their devices at the same time. Outside of that, here in the second row, you do have this armrest that folds down. There are some pretty sturdy cup holders in place, but other than that, it's a very nice material, quite plushy. And the other thing is, again, there is no problem to fit. This is a booster seat, but obviously, even if you had one of those rear-facing child car seats, it would fit back here no problem. And even to, to make it better, our the latch access points are really easy to get to. So I mean, truly a really nice 5-passenger vehicle that's great for the family as well. So next, let's go ahead and hop out to talk about the cargo space. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space of the Honda Prologue Touring. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull the handle here, power tailgate opens up. Now, I actually have a lot of stuff in here because I normally keep this wide open, but I wanted to show how much stuff you could fit in here. And I don't have it packed to the brim, but kind of your typical sports day, if you're a parent and you have kids, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, for example, here in the rear, going across, I got an easy canopy, one that just pops up, one of those big 10 by 20 foot, canopies here. It fits, completely across. I've got a huge backpack with baseball gear, cleats, bags back here. Everything's packed in, and I could easily add in more. Behind this second row, which is a 60-40 folding second row of seats, there's actually 23.7 cubic feet of space. So it's a pretty good size, and it more than doubles if you fold those seats down. I think it jumps to like 54.7. I'll put the number down below. But again, there's a lot of space back here as well. And what's nice, and I'll show you this too, is you can actually lift the bottom of the floor up, exposing extra space down there. It's actually a nice little cubby, and really it's going to be optimal for putting something like your portable charge set. It's almost like perfectly set to put some either jumper cables or your charging set underneath. So that's additional above and beyond that 23.7 cubic feet of space that's back here. You also got some LED premium lights back here, and it's really easy to access the latches to fold the seats down. So with that, I think we've covered everything here in the cargo area. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, guys, next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain of the Honda Prologue Touring. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Touring can actually come with 2 electric motor configurations, but no matter which Prologue trim you go with, they all come with the same 85 kilowatt hour battery pack, right? So there's this big, platform of EV batteries that the car sits on top of. Now, what's going to be different is, like I said, whether it has 1 or 2 electric motors driving the wheels. Now, if you go with a single motor configuration on the Prologue, that means the electric motor is going to be up front, making it front wheel drive. Or if you go for the dual motor configuration like this touring car has here, it adds a second motor to the rear, making it all-wheel drive, right? So in this configuration, it makes 288 horsepower and 333 foot-pounds of torque from 0 RPM. So that's really where the power kicks in instantly, and that's the benefit of driving an electric vehicle. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, here we are inside the 2024 Honda Prologue Touring, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead and put on my seatbelt, foot on the brake, hit the power button, and just like that, it's on. It's always weird getting into an EV and turning it on because it's just dead silent. You don't actually know that it's on, but all the screens come on, and we're pretty much ready to go. One of the things with the Prologue is, you've got memory seating over here, and we talked about that in the interior. There's 2 settings for the driver seat, but there's also this other setting that allows you to basically set the ingress egress seating position if you want to do that. And then separately within the main controls here, you can actually turn that function on and off if you want the seat to move when you get in and out. So I'll go ahead and push, and then now it kind of brings me back to my actual memory setting. So with that, we'll go ahead and set off. So foot on the brake. The gear selector is this like column stock here on the side, so you pull it in and then push down to get into drive, and then you get D on the meter display, and we'll take off. And you know, one of the other things before I just head off is it shows your total charging percent. So I'm actually at 96% battery right now, and it's showing 293 miles of range at that percent. So you know, with this thing charged at 100%, it's showing well over 300 miles of range, which is actually beating the EPA range ratings. Now, depends on how you drive, even like a gas car, but it's impressive to see that you're getting this much, you know, range out of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set off. The electronic parking brake also automatically disengages if you have your seatbelt on, so that's a nice tip there. And yeah, we're taking off. And one of the things, you know, now I have all 3 trims of the Prologue here on Drive Culture. So I have the entry trim, which is the EX. Talked about how that's an amazing lease deal, or even a you know, a finance deal. You can get incredible prices really on all of the trims of Prologue, but especially that entry EX trim. And then now we're here in the Touring, and one of the very first videos I did was of the Elite trim, which is fully loaded, so I can definitely come back and review that, especially as the model years change over, because one of the things that I pointed out earlier is that now they're going into the 2025 model year Prologue, and one of the things that changed was that range rating. It actually got better, actually has more driving miles of range due to some changes to the battery chemistry. So that's also an impressive feat. But here in this Touring trim, like I said, you get almost, not all of them, you get almost all of the features of the Elite. You get great content in here, and you still get that same premium feeling that you get with the you know, added acoustic glass and things like that, that just really make this a quiet cabin, right? I mean, obviously it's an EV, so it's quiet in that sense, but overall the cabin in the Prologue is super quiet, even at highway speed. So as I'm waiting to turn here, we'll talk about the features and other things that impact. Now, one thing is with the Prologue, you don't really get any driving mode changes, right? The only trim that offers that is the Elite trim, and it gives you a sport button, right? And that button is over down here on the left. And yes, it does give you, you know, more power and gives you kind of a faster acceleration from 0 to 60, but I mean, this car's not slow to begin with, especially that this is the dual motor configuration. And so, you know, it's probably negligible, that sport mode, but again, if you really want all the performance and features, then you do have to step up into that Elite trim. You know, like I've said before, the steering wheel in this car is a really good size and shape. It's definitely on the thicker side. It's much thicker than a lot of the other Honda and Acura models, but it's definitely a nice size. And, you know, again, it makes getting around town really easy in this car. So here we are, we're gonna set off, turn signals, there we go. I mean, again, this car is just super duper quiet, guys. It's really an eerie feeling. So I'm gonna set off, and like I said, this car is not slow. With the dual motor configuration, it's, like I said, in the powertrain section, and you know, it's not just the horsepower and torque figures, it's the fact that, like all EVs, it's from 0 RPM, so it's 333 foot-pounds of torque instantly, right? So it doesn't take much to get up to speed. Now, are you going to win every stoplight race in this car? No, but I mean, for the most part, you're going to surprise a lot of people and just shoot off at the light. Like, this thing definitely gets up. So we're going to go on this like normal route that I drive here. We're actually going to come up to a couple train tracks. One is pretty aggressive here, and we'll see how the car and the chassis handles it. So coming around the turn here, I'm going to get to speed just about 30, 35 miles an hour maybe. And we're going to come up to this, you know, pretty aggressive railroad crossing. We'll just go over at speed. So that was the first one. That was actually really good. No, other than the sound that you might hear, there was no vibrations into the cabin or the chassis, and everything felt rock solid. Now, this next one I'm about to come up to is a little bit more aggressive. So again, I'm going to keep around 37 miles an hour, just go over it and see what happens. Here we go. And even even that, I mean, that was really good. I mean, if you guys watch all the other videos I've done here on Drive Culture, I mean, I've driven really low cars, modified cars, supercars over that thing, and yeah, on certain cars it does kind of shake things up, and you know, you have to almost brace for it as you're going over it. But in this car, you'd almost think it was just another pothole or another hole in the road. It didn't even really phase the Prologue. So really rock solid, right? I mean, again, the car's heavy, being an EV, but having all that weight at the bottom, and you know, obviously the some of the chassis and suspension tuning, you don't really feel those kinds of undulations into the cabin. So that's really impressive. So, and go ahead and we'll get into a little bit more here. So I'll just give it a quick stab of the throttle, and you know, yeah, it's not as fast. You know, obviously it's a ZDX, right? And if you watched our channel before, you know that you know, we've got several trims of the Acura ZDX on the channel as well. People think instantly it's the exact same platform and motor setup, and that's not the case. The ZDX is even faster than this car, but I mean, like I said, this car is not slow, and as I get into it again, it's addictive. It's really easy. There's 60, you gotta back off. But what's nice is, you know, you got the one pedal driving, and the even better than just having the one pedal driving is the fact that you can turn it on and off. And so you can set a little setting here on the, like a shortcut on the main menu, where all you have to do is tap it. You can turn it off. If you hit it again, you can basically select between the driving pedal settings. You can select between the drive pedal settings, going from to normal to high. Now, normal gives, you know, a pretty aggressive regen braking, and kind of really starts to bring you down to a stop. But if you really want to have that true one pedal driving feeling, I recommend going to the high setting. And at first it does take a little getting used to. You obviously don't want to like make yourself feel like you're getting sick while you're driving, but you know, as you really learn to modulate the brake pedal, it just makes driving around town so easy. You just literally have to use one pedal, and you slightly let off the brake, and then it brings the vehicle to a full stop. And then above and beyond that, you've got this other little regen paddle here on the back of the steering wheel. So, you know, if you're asking really what you're going to use that for, is almost like an additional braking, and you know, and although the one pedal driving will bring you to a stop, admittedly, if you're going a little too fast, sometimes it may not get there in time. And so by using that extra regen paddle, it acts as like another level of braking force, and really helps to slow you down. So here I'm going to get up to speed, cutting into traffic, and then I'm gonna like let off the throttle, and yeah, it's starting to slow down. But if I pull this paddle, now I feel this extra sense of braking force, and it's really brings me down to speed, and now I can finally safely come to a stop. So, you know, there's a lot of little tricks to driving this car and the EVs, but you know, once you do, like I said, I mean, just getting around town, it's so nice. You have the power to be able to, you know, I just kind of jumped into traffic there, but I was, you know, quickly able to merge the speed, you know, not getting somebody's way. At the same time, I can just easily let off the brake and bring myself to a stop. So, you know, there's a lot of goodness in that kind of driving. Now, you don't get the sounds, you don't get maybe some of that visceral excitement of driving like a fast ICE powertrain, but there's still a lot of good in driving an EV. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you own an EV? Are you gonna still look at buying an EV someday? Are you more sold on going and buying a hybrid type of vehicle? Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. We obviously have a ton of videos here on the channel, including several hybrids, several EVs, and let me know if you guys want me to bring more EVs to the channel. I haven't brought any Teslas or other brands to the channel just yet on the EV side of the powertrain, but happy to bring that content to you. So just let me know what you guys want to see, and we'll bring it to you here on Drive Culture. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive review. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2024 Honda Prologue Touring? Is this the best trim in the entire Prologue lineup? Like I mentioned before, I already have a video of the Entry EX single motor trim. I also have the fully loaded Elite trim with the dual motor, just like this Touring trim, but with all the bells and whistles. And of course, on the Acura side of things, I have all of the ZDX trims here on Drive Culture as well. But let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you want to see other EVs on the channel from other brands? Happy to bring you that content as well, or other kind of interesting powertrains. Like I do have the hydrogen fuel cell CRV here, as well as several hybrid powertrains from Honda. So with that, if you've joined us before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.